been a long time since I've done a video. Basically, by request, I've decided to do a video on winemaking. In this case, it's going to be blueberry wine. Basically, what I've got to start with is, of course, this isn't all of them, but about 3.5 pounds of blueberries, which I'm sorting out, putting the best ones into my bucket down there while keeping the bad ones for the garbage. My bucket here I've pre-washed and pre-sanitized. Matter of fact, the sanitizer's still in there right now. And what I'm going to do with that is just wash it out. Take the good take the good blueberries and put them in my bucket there, as you can see. Now, as you can see, I have the blueberries all in the container here, getting ready to smash them. All I use is just a regular potato masher, and I'll just smash them in the juice and leave the skins on inside the bucket, because when you start doing the fermentation, all the skins will float to the top, and you can just sift them right off the top, no problem. Okay, as you can see right here, I'll zoom in, it's actually green. It won't turn blue till you add hot water to it, and they'll just instantly turn blue. But blueberry juice is actually green, as you can see right there. I've got it about half smashed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in this more sturdy bucket. This is a 6.5 gallon bucket. I'll kind of scroll back on it. Food grade pail with a lid. It has a hole in the top for putting a airlock, and I'll show that as we go along. But putting blueberries in the pail, and I'll smash them up a little bit more with the thing right there. What I'm basically wanting to do is make sure I crush every berry, and the bucket's a little bit stronger to do that. I'm kind of afraid that I may bust this open, let all the juice out. But this one, that's pretty hard to do. You can't hardly bust a food grade bucket. Okay, after smashing up the remainder of the blueberries into my bucket here, doesn't look too bad. Hopefully that shows up good on the YouTube there. As you can see, you got peels and everything in there. But anyway, like I said it was before, it's green right now. Blueberry juice is actually green when it comes out of the blueberries. Now what we need to do is increase the sugar content of the mix, plus we need to add water at the same time. And the best way to do that is, of course, to boil your sugar. Great value, but it could be Dixie or just whoever. I'm going to use anywhere from about 2 to 2.5 pounds of sugar. I'm going to turn the stove on to about 8.5 will do. 8.5 will do. And I'll go ahead and pour in my sugar now. About half its 4-pound bag should do it. I already put some water in it. Initially I'm going to use 8 cups. This is 4 cups right here. Just pouring the sugar in. Checking the bag. Be close. That's not half the bag, so we'll go ahead and pour in more. There are other ways to make wine, but this is the easiest, in my opinion. This gives me the best results. I've never had a bad batch doing it like this, where I've had batches I've had to throw out otherwise. And that's still not quite half the bag right there. I'll pour in some more. Some more. Like so. Alright, now I'm not afraid to go just a little bit over, but I don't want to go too terribly much under, but I can go either way. I'll be testing out the solution before I actually finish. For today, Alright, I got the sugar melting in the water here, like so. Now that's half the water right there. Pour in the rest. Like so. And basically all I'm going to do is sit here and stir intermittently. Just make sure that sugar doesn't get to the bottom. I'm looking at maybe from now to a boil, no more than 10 minutes. I got the stove set pretty high, so it shouldn't take all that long for this water to start boiling. Anyway, I'll pick the video back up when it does start boiling. Okay, now that the water is boiling, we're going to go ahead and put the boiling water with the sugar into our bucket right here. And if you'll watch, if I get the camera just right, you'll see exactly as I pour the hot water in, it's going to blanch the blueberries and turn the whole thing blue. Whereas green right now will do a color change. That's if I can keep from spilling the water all over me and the floor and everything else. Now, there's more than one thing that the hot water does. For one, I do not want to put sanitizer on my blueberries, because all that's going to do is make my blueberry wine taste like sanitizer instead of blueberry wine. So, not only does the hot water cook and melt the sugar, but it also sanitizes the berries. And basically what I'm going to do right here is stir it in real good with my spoon, that big plastic spoon I was using before, and add some chemicals. I will show you what those are momentarily. Okay, next basically what we do is we take a sample of our liquid here. As you can see, I have it in this beaker here. Now I'm getting real close in on our hydrometer reading here. There's better videos than the one I'm going to do. I'm just going to say I use a hydrometer to check my stuff. Just look up hydrometer on YouTube. You'll find a lot of interesting videos on how to use this. But I'm going to get the specific alcohol reading here. See, about 11%. There's 10 right there. That's 11, that's 12, that's 13, 14, 15. Well, we're floating right at about 11% potential alcohol. And that's what this hydrometer does. It just floats at the level where the sugar causes it to raise. And I always like to use the percentage rating. It does pretty good for me. 11% on this batch if all the sugar ferments out. Also, we're going to add our yeast nutrient. So here, 1 teaspoon per gallon must. And our peptic enzyme, which is not necessary if you freeze your blueberries first and let them thaw out. Peptic enzyme basically does that itself. It breaks down the walls in the fruit to let the juice out of the fruit more easily after crunching it up to put it in the bucket. So we're going to go ahead and add those, and I'll pick the video up again when we put the lid on. Okay, getting back to the video, we have our lid on. Now we're going to put our airlock on. Now you'll notice with this airlock, I do it this way for a reason I'll explain. I don't have the little cap in it yet. It goes down in here. I'm going to leave it out. And I'm going to just put the regular cap on top. This will keep any kind of fruit flies or anything out of it good enough for now. Because basically what's going to happen for about the next hour or so, because it's still hot down there, it's going to produce steam in the bottom. And that steam is going to produce a suction inside the airlock here. And it's going to suck any kind of water that I put in the airlock it's going to suck it down into the bucket. So at most, the only thing I want in there is air. Everything in the bucket sanitized. The fruit's now sanitized because of the hot water. And a last parting shot is that everything that you saw me stirring with, cooking with, anything like that, this bucket, anything, all of it that touched the water or anything else was sanitized prior to being used on the wine here. Basically, I'm going to write down today's date. I'm going to give this must right here probably about 6-7 hours to cool down, and at that point I'm going to put the yeast in it, put the lid back on, put that cap back on, pour the water to the appropriate level in the airlock right there, and then I'll get back with you in about a week. We'll go ahead and pop the top, stir it, do what we need to do there. Anyway, second video will be 1 week from today. Okay, I've decided to go ahead and pitch the yeast on video. Basically, the kind I like that has done the best job for me is this. Of course, you can use whatever yeast you like, as long as it's wine yeast and not bread yeast. So let's go ahead and take off the lid and put that in right now. Of course, like I said before, the lid and everything else is sanitized. And I want to be careful how I set it down so it'll stay that way. And basically all I do is just kind of sprinkle it in. You can see it, the contrast as it goes on. Just sprinkling it in. Now 1 package of this yeast is good enough for 5 gallons. Of course we could have just a little bit better than 1 gallon here. Of course, as we rack the wine a couple of times and so forth, we'll lose a little bit as we go along, and we'll end up with pretty much 1 gallon, even though we have more than that currently. Okay, now that it's all in, I'll take my lid, put it back on. I like to set it just a certain way. Here's the handle. And I like the lid, everything to be about right there. Right there is good. Actually, we'll turn it around. That way, I can bring my lid straight up. I won't interfere with my airlock here. So I'll go ahead and tighten it down. Okay, now next thing needs to be done is to pour our water into our airlock at the predefined space. Now I'll go ahead and get a close up of that. Get a real good close up. As you can see right there where it's talking about the fill line, right here, that's where we want to fill the water up to. After, of course, we put our cap back in. Now, as we can see, we're pouring some water in. Getting it to the proper water level, like so. And I'm going to get some video of it actually fermenting. But we just put our cap back on. And like I said in the previous segment on this same video, it'll be somewhere around a week. I'll come back and open it up, strain off the berries, and we'll go from there. We should get fermentation going in about a day and a half. You should see the bubbler working.